Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope all of you are doing well. So in this video, I will be discussing about one of the important poems by Emily Dickinson, that is Because I Could Not Stop for Death, its summary and analysis. So let's start. So let's begin with the introduction of the poem. She wrote this poem in 1863. In this poem, poetess personifies death by saying, "Kindly gentle man," and she takes her reader towards mysterious journey, and in this poem she gives the readers a lesson about journey of life and death. In her poems, titles are lacking. Then poets usually use the first line of the first stanza as the title, as poetess did in this poem. In her poem, Because I Could Not Stop for Death, Emily Dickinson describes a close encounter with death and immortality. She uses personification to portray death and immortality as a character. Her familiarity at the beginning of the poem causes the reader to feel at ease with the idea of death. However, as the poem progresses, a sudden shift in tone causes readers to see death for what it really is, that is cruel and evil. So let's begin with the summary of stanza number 1. So in the first lines of Because I Could Not Stop for Death, the speaker uses the famous line, "Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me." This phrase hints at the personification that is going to be utilized throughout the stanzas to describe the experience of entering the afterlife. Death stopped for the speaker and helped her into the carriage that held just ourself and immortality. In this stanza, the author personifies death, portraying him as a close friend or perhaps even a gentleman suitor. The pleasant tone of the poem suggests the author is quite comfortable with death. Now in the second stanza, the carriage ride is symbolic of author's departure from life. She is in the carriage with death and immortality. She reveals her willingness to go with death when she says she had put away labor and leisure too, for she is in his civility. This further reveals that author has come to terms with her own mortality. She has sat down, put aside all wanted to do in life, and willingly enter the carriage with death and mortality. This is portrayed as death drives slowly for her, allowing her to reminisce. He knew no haste as they drove. He takes her through the course of her life with a slow and patient ride. Immortality drives along but is silent. So in this stanza, basically poetess describe her carriage ride, how she is with the immortality and death in that carriage ride. Now let's proceed towards the stanza number 3. So in this stanza, she says that they drive past the school where the children strove, imply that the poetess is generously given a few moments to remember her childhood. It remembers or it recalls nostalgic element. They then drive past the gazing grain, allowing the author to think back upon the prime of her life. They praised or they passed the setting sun. This symbolizes the author death, and it is metaphor. The sunset is beautiful and gentle, and the passing from life to eternity is portrayed as such. Now in stanza number 4, there is a sudden shift in tone. In the fourth stanza, suddenly, now the sun has set. The author realizes that she is quite cold and she shivers. Then she becomes aware that she is underdressed. Prior to this moment of realization, the author felt quite comfortable with death and immortality. After all, she was riding along with them in only her gossamer and her tippet only tool, that is written in the poem, these text I am using. So, or in other words in only a sheer nightgown. In her first third stanzas, the author is on close affectionate term with death and immortality, describing death as a gentleman suitor who is kind and civil. She shows no shame at being underdressed. However, when the sun set and the cold damp set in, she became aware of her inappropriate attire. So this is stanza number 4. So in stanza number 5, in the moment of realization that she has become or been seduced by death, they pause before her new home, a swelling of the ground. She claims the roof was scarcely visible and the cornice in the ground, which shows that now she is in the graveyard. The tone becomes one of the disappointment as the author realizes that death is not at all she thought it would be. So there is a reality versus appearance theme. Now she is standing before her new forever home. Disappointment sets in. Now she realizes the moment we are gone to this world, we are nothing and then placed under the ground. So this is stanza number 5. Now in stanza number 6, she says, it's now been centuries and yet each feels shorter than a day. As life goes on without her, it has been centuries since that moment of realization when she first surmised that death had seduced her, that he had appeared a kindly gentleman at first but had left her alone in the dark, cold, damp grave. She said that when she first time see the head of horse carriage, she knew that she is moving towards the direction of eternity. So let's move towards the themes of the poem. The first theme is the theme of death, as we all know that the whole poem is surrounded by this theme. The second one is the theme of mortality. The third one is the theme of eternity, that in the end that we all die. And the fourth one is the theme of transformation, that how she transformed her ideas as well, and how her physical features also transform. Even when she was in the carriage, she was dressed up, while afterwards she was underdressed. So the last one is the reality versus appearance, that what she thinks about death and what death really is. That is the theme of reality versus appearance. So that's all from my side. If you have any questions, you can ask me in the comment section. Please like, subscribe and share my channel. Thank you for watching.